enemies. Everybody has them, and if you don't, then you've never stood up for anything or have really good hitmen, in which case, hi, you're a nice person. And they're in video games as well. There are video game genres that cannot exist without enemies. Some of them, of course, can very well be played without a single enemy combatant, a single antagonist, but a lot of them, especially the current popular ones, do need someone to beat over the face with a baseball bat or just shot at. And this is the top 7 video game enemies. A list where I not only make a rundown of the most popular enemies in the order of their killability, but I also include the reason why they are so goddamn likable to murder. But first, a moment of silence for all the wildlife mercilessly killed over the years by Lara Croft and Mario. We live in new times, modern times, when such atrocities depicted in video games are only acceptable if committed against human beings. That being said, let's get it started with number 7, boring robots. Robots are not as popular as they used to be in video games. A couple of years ago, you would find just about every game had robots in it. You would shoot them, you would murderize them, you would turn them to pulp. And while although some of them still do have robots, like the last Wolfenstein game did, you can't really say that they're as popular as they used to, but they're still among the most prolific enemies in video games. And what's not to like about them? They're walking pieces of metal that shoot at you. You have absolutely no remorse for tearing them apart. You sometimes actually feel a sadistic pleasure in it. You're basically tearing apart the microwave that burned your food, or the vacuum cleaner that ate up your cat. They're fun to shoot at, and they're boring. Not that the concept of a robot in a video game as an enemy is boring. You can make fantastic robots in video games, but the majority of them are boring. They're bipedal, human-like automatons that just have more health than a human. They're not really all that interesting nowadays. Remember when Crysis came out and you had to fight all those flying robotic drones? Yeah, that was something. Now most robots are just two-legged things. If the developer wants to get really creative, they give it 3 legs. And the weak point. Number 6. Boring aliens. The space kind of aliens. I don't want to get any hate mail about other kinds of aliens. You can probably blame cinema for this one. Ever since the earliest Ed Wood masterpieces, we've had the inkling in our minds that aliens are coming in the UFOs to kill us all and we must blow them up. And so we did in countless video games. We've been fighting aliens for so long, and they are quite popular. Incredibly popular, and oh my god are they boring. You have a game like Mass Effect Andromeda, set in a different galaxy. What aliens do you fight? Well, of course, bipedal ones that look like rejects from Gears of War, which were also aliens. Well, technically the humans were aliens on their planet. You can make so many interesting things with alien creatures. But since Halo was popular, every goddamn alien is bipedal and looks the same. Going back to the Crysis thing, Crysis 2, it had enemies just taken out of Halo. Well, as the first one at least had the flying ones and the big ones. And why do we like shooting aliens? Well, why wouldn't we? Here we have this species that traverses the stars, that achieves something that humanity will not do in our lifetime, and we are somehow able to kick the ever-loving crap out of them with our caveman level technology. We are superior. It's afraid. Go watch Starship Troopers. It's an amazing movie. Number 5. Boring people with funny accents. You get these guys in just about every game possible. You shoot them in every Max Payne game. You shoot them in every game that takes place outside the US, even inside the US. Generally, you shoot them constantly, and they're not all that interesting. They just have a funny accent. They sometimes yell, "I am reloading now," or "Take cover, he threw a grenade." You know, stuff like that. They sound a bit Russian mostly. Russian, Colombian, Bolivian, Mexican, Ukrainian, Romanian, Turkish. Sometimes you will also get enemies that have British accents, but they generally tend to be the big bad villain. The grunts, if they are enemies, they'll still talk with a funny accent, the Cockney accent, the "Oi, you what, mate?" You know, that kind of talk. So yeah, funny accents all around. It's fun to shoot people that are foreign to you and have a different way of speech. It's not fun, but at least you're not shooting your own people. That's unless you're from that part of the world, which you probably are because, games are global now. Number 4, boring orcs. Now, by orc, I also mean the traditional orc, which somehow also talks like the traditional British Cockney villain with "you what, mate?" You can blame Warhammer for that. But also the concept of the orc. At its essence, the orc is a corruption of something that was once good. It's a mutant, basically. It's a mutant elf. So orcs and mutants, they're kind of the same thing at a certain level. They look like us, but they're green, they're yellow, they're gray, they're dark, they have pimples, they have blisters on their faces, rashes. They could use some skincare products and possibly a dermatologist. And there's a lot of them. Oh man, can there be a lot of orcs. We're talking about mountains of orcs. Mordor's filled with them. And I mean multiple Mordors filled with orcs, not that Mordor is filled with them. That's the idea of Mordor. You have to pronounce the extra R's and D's and consonants that are not always visible. Orcs are not us. That's why we generally like to just beat them into oblivion. They sort of look like us, but they're not us. We don't have green skin, do we? No. They do. And they talk as if they've already had one too many blows over the head, usually. Not saying that people with Cockney accents have that issue. Don't put this on me. It was the game developers that decided to give them that accent, not me. And why are they boring? Because they're just basically people painted green. There's really nothing to them. The only game that actually tried to give them something was Shadow of Mordor. Mordor. With the Nemesis system, and that's it. It was still a game filled with boring ass orcs that just don't do much. They're grunts. They're the basic Goomba thing to kill. It's boring, but they're everywhere. They're goddamn everywhere. They spread like orcs. Number 3, boring terrorists. Oh, who doesn't love a game where you take down terrorists? There's actually a series of games called Terrorist Takedown. They are kinda crappy. I once reviewed the same one twice by mistake, because it was so goddamn forgettable that it could just not give a sharp A. I'm testing a new thing where I don't say shit, I say something else that starts with SH. Oh, shishkafras, I did it again. And the terrorists were part of video games long before the tragic incidents of 9/11 that propelled terrorism and the idea of the perpetual war on terror into the mainstream of the public subconscious as a part of day-to-day life where, oh look, another terrorist attack. Well, that's life. As if that's supposed to be an acceptable normality. That insanity is our new life. So yeah, you can understand why they make a good villain in video games, a good enemy. You just have to take out that frustration at reality on something. It's not gonna solve anything, but nothing in real life is gonna do that either. There's no solution. We're doomed. It's a species. We are doomed. And they're also kind of boring because games don't address the core issue of why they are terrorists to the point where we're not even allowed to do it in games. You've had titles like Medal of Honor, the one from, 2010, 2011, a horrible game, don't get me wrong, an absolute piece of trash, but still they had a multiplayer mode where you would play the Taliban, until the media and useful idiots took offense to that. So they renamed the faction Opposing Force because Electronic Arts has as much backbone as they do moral fiber. So we're still doomed. Speaking of which, number 2, boring undead. Yeah, the undead are everywhere. There's zombies in every game. Skeletons have been a mainstay of every RPG, every action game with a fantasy twist. Undead are like the new rat. You know how rats became an annoying thing in games? They became a sort of joke. That's the undead now. That's why they didn't put rats in this top mentioned animals. But the undead are just annoying because there's nothing to them. There's absolutely no interesting mechanics or interesting aesthetics even associated with them. They're just undead. We haven't even had a good vampire game that lets you fight vampires, since Soul Reaver. We just have a mass of zombies. the same boring asphalt zombies over and over again. And they're in every goddamn game, and everybody wants more games with more boring zombies in it. And why? Because zombies are like us. They used to be us. So there's not much of a stigma associated with beating them until they become paste, red paste on the sidewalk. Because that's a creature that used to be human. It was human, but now it's not. It's beneath us. It's a malignant cancer. It's like a tumor that must be destroyed. It's a reminder of our mortality. And killing it is a conquest of it. Or something like that. I don't know, I'm not a psychologist. Though on the internet I can pretend to be one. Quite effectively, actually. And number 1 is Nazis. Notice that I didn't say boring Nazis because Nazis are never boring. If you want an enemy to never feel sorry for, pick Nazis. No one ever will feel sorry for a Nazi. Even accusing someone of being a Nazi in real life is to a lot of people a blank check to punch them in the face. Nazis are pure evil. They're despicable. They are absolute monsters. They are the greatest PR success in terms of creating the perfect villain that ever existed. Oh, don't get me wrong, they were complete and utter bastards. They were assholes to the nth degree. They were monstrous. But you gotta kinda face it, at a global level, you gotta have people that did much worse things over a much longer period of time to a lot more people. But Nazis are the quintessential villain because the whole world, most of it, some of it, initially not my country, though that was for political reasons, rallied against them, to fight this Sauron, this mustached menace, this embodiment of everything wrong with humanity, of all the evil of humankind. And by God, there's nothing that ever gets boring about that. Nazis should be in every game. At least have one in every game, just so you can feel better by punching them. Or at least you should have the option of calling anyone in any game a Nazi and then being able to punch them with no repercussions. Someone should really make that game. There should be a GTA mod for that one. It would be amazing. It would be astonishing. There is absolutely no stigma associated with not liking Nazis. Why should you like them? They're Nazis. Zombies at least used to be human beings. You do have sometimes moments where you see someone in zombie form that you used to know. You see someone, a loved one, that's now been defiled, turned into a creature so horrid that it just breaks your heart to put them down in a video game. But a Nazi, motherfucker, you chose to be that. Well, you were conscripted in the army and had to fight for your country because you didn't really have a choice. And even if you didn't commit any atrocities, you're still a Nazi. So killing you is still okay, even if you don't aspire to their ideology. Unlike the idiots we have today that flat out just say they're Nazis because we're doomed. I'm gonna say it again, we are goddamn doomed. So enjoy video games while we have them, because only in video games can you have superb entities like robot Nazi alien zombie mutants that talk with funny accents and commit acts of terrorism. If you make a game where that precise enemy shows up, please consider adding me to the credits. You know, you got the idea from here. Well, that would be it for the top 7 video game enemies that are everywhere. They're basically what you get in video games, in every one of them, with little to no difference. Come back next time for a bit of a special top 7. Goodbye.